Today we will be discussing the stories hidden in paper, how art preserves our memories. Joining us in the studio is Diolu Femi, an Nigerian paper artist whose work explores memory, everyday life, and the experiences that shape who we are. Using paper as its main medium, it creates layered artworks through cutting and layering. Its practice focuses on themes of presence, vulnerability, resilience, and human connection, inviting people to slow down, reflect, and see beauty in the moments of life and the stories they hold. You know what? Dear Lufemi, good morning and welcome to the Breakfast Present Briefing.
Good morning, thank you very much for having me today. Thank you.
Yes. You know, looking at your artwork, I've always wondered, and I think I've asked that question before, what inspired you to the connection between paper, art, and memories?
I would believe paper holds a great detail of our life, our certificates, notes, letters, pictures, photographs, all of this are gathered on paper. So paper, even though how flexible and soft it is, I believe it can be used to tell our stories in very strong forms. Yeah.
Okay, so now, why do you think paper has remained an important way for humans to preserve stories over generations?
Paper is accessible, it is personal, and like I said before, it holds a great detail of every moment of our life. So it is important that we preserve our stories using paper. We can forget things. Things can easily elude us. But when things are done, recorded, they serve as a form of archive. Yes.
Okay, and that brings me to my next question. What role does art play in helping people remember important moments from their past?
So when things are written down, they capture historical concepts, yes. But in form of art, when things are recorded in form of art, you can capture the expressions, the way the person that has done the work is expressing their perspective. If I were to give you a canvas to work with, and I also have another canvas to work with, the way we will tell our stories addressing the same topic would be different. So working with art ensures that we're able to have different distinct perspective of the same subject matter.
Can you share an example of a piece of artwork on paper that tells a powerful story?
Okay, so one I can use one of my works. There's a particular series I have, boy child experience, and then it captures what it feels like as a child, as a new child growing in the early 2000s. That particular series now, it captures addresses different emotions, different subject matters, the sense of resilience, vulnerability, responsibility. So when you look at that now, it's a way of telling. Now my works now, they don't necessarily capture my own experiences. So sometimes I tap into the experiences of others, what I observe around me. So that particular series now, it's a very across all of my works, they are addressing different subject matter. So that particular one addresses the what it feels like, growing up as a child.
Okay. So when you begin a new piece, how do you decide which memories, stories, or emotions deserve to be captured on paper?
Usually, to determine what I want to do, I like to address the things that people tend to ignore. We don't necessarily pay attention to. Those are the ones I focus on, and I observe. As we're having a conversation like this, if certain topics or ideas keep coming back to me and it stays with me, and I note it down, I pen it down, and I know that this is worth exploring. So that is how I know what emotions and memories I'm dealing with. And sometimes it could be like a long this thing addressing different aspects. For example, the place of healing, we have trauma, we have accepting the this thing. So I address it based on I address my the works based on these things. So they are not necessarily my own experiences, but from things I observe from people around me.
Okay. In a digital world filled with photos and online records, why does paper-based art still matter?
Images are abundant. You can find images everywhere. They can be easily generated. They can be easily manipulated. But when you look at artworks they carry this handmade touch that cannot be easily gotten when you look at an artwork. Mine, for example, now when you look at my work in person, you can see the layers. You can see some of my works go up to 11 layers. You see details, the time that has been spent, the time that has been taken to create that. So you cannot easily experience that when it comes to digital images. When you look at an artwork, you can easily tell that a lot has gone into it. So it is important that we reinforce that art still matters, yes.
Okay. Now, how do personal drawings, letters, or journals help preserve family and cultural memories?
You know, before now, people tend to before the development of technology got to this point, the way people communicate with themselves is through letters. I was going through TikTok yesterday and I saw a particular page of a young man sharing some of the documents. I guess his father is late, so he was sharing some of the documents that his father left behind, containing letters, memorandum, attestation, even down to receipts from some of the properties he has acquired, like some of the electronics and appliances in the home. And all of these things were recorded on paper.
Wow.
So that is how paper is like it's a part of our life. It's a big part of our life. Even down to the some of the lands. I guess the man is into real estate, selling properties and stuff. So looking at that it was a length. It was about 32 pictures, slides, yes. And I guess the guy had probably more images. But the fact that all these were documented. Even personally, if you come to my studio, I have receipts I've collected over time, from things I've gotten. So these things now, and I guess for that man, that young man, those receipts, some were things he was aware of, like he was present at the time. His father told him some of those things, the old memories, and the way he was, when I went through the comment section, he had something to say about each particular one of them, each particular item, each particular, this one. Okay, he even did like a caption on each image. This particular receipt was when my dad, when we moved. This particular one was when we got our. Okay, there was one. The first plasma TV that he got, the receipt was there. Said it spoiled. All of these details are documented, in paper. So even drawings, if you go back, you look at. If I go home, for example, some of the drawings I did growing up as a child, I'm very sure they are at home. So these things, they preserve memories even long after like people are gone. Yes.
Okay, so out of curiosity, I know your artworks are not mosaics, or are they a form of mosaic? Because I know that's kind of a mosaic.
It's not mosaic. It's not mosaic. So some would say it's collage, but mine is not collage. Mine is paper layering. I call it paper layering.
Okay.
So and then I add a bit of twist to it by adding relief. So I separate each of the layers. So each of the layers are not in contact with themselves. So give this the way the shadow of the next layer casts on the previous one, and the next one, and then it keeps going. It creates like a 3D depth here.
Okay. So how does art on paper help future generations understand the lives of people from the past?
So art helps give emotional context to a conversation, unlike historical records. So if you're going through an historical record or an historical archive, if we read the same documents, we can get different interpretations. It is almost difficult to have different interpretations when you look at a work of art. People can not easily misinterpret a work of art. It is possible, but then it is, more difficult. And then, above all, it gives emotional context. Now, when I say emotional context, when artists works, they usually address, this thing from the place of emotions. So it helps give people to paint a picture of the emotions surrounding this thing. Yes, that is why arts help future generation understand people from the past. Yes.
Okay. With the dawn of NFT and digital art, do you think paper will ever go out of fashion or will eventually be replaced?
That's an interesting question. The dawn of NFT. Now, if you look back, I may get a lot of attack on this, but that's fine. So when NFT came out, I understand that a lot of people made fortune from it.
Yeah.
But then I was on the view that it's a trend. Trends come and go.
Yeah.
So, and if you look at it now, NFT came and is not as active as it is now. So now coming back to, do I think paper is going to become irrelevant? Maybe, and even if it does, it's, if you look back now, if you look at people like, you have seen sketches of people like Pablo Picasso and Basquiat. You see their sketches, works they've done, and other artists that they've done on paper. You realize that these works are those papers, it could be rough sketches on this thing, and they become so invaluable, fetching huge amounts of money. So now it's not up to the people handling or in that have these materials at hand, how they're able to preserve it. So even if it happens, I mean, yes.
How can young artists use paper arts to document their own experiences and communities?
So I'm going to answer this question from a generic perspective now, saying that how can artists use art to document their experiences. I would say it starts from the little moments, your conversations with people, how you're feeling at a particular point in time. It could be a particular struggle you're going with. Just do something, do it.
Okay. How should they do it?
I mean, if you have basic art skills, drawing skills, or whatever, do it. And if you do not, I believe everybody's an artist. That is one thing. I would say everybody's an artist. Fashion is a form of art, so you can do that in through fashion, through styling, through different diverse forms. Just pick up something, experiment. Experimentation is the key to all of this.
Okay. Are there certain techniques or styles in paper arts that makes memories feel more alive?
For me, I would say yes, and that would be the layering. So now, I believe memories are built in layers, So one after the other, different moments makes up memories. So they are built in layers. So my technique of layering the papers now is a way of reenacting how memories are made within us. And then I go a step further to say that in my practice that when you look at my works, I focus on the skin, and that's very, very specific for a reason. I believe our skin is a living archive of who we are. So it's a living archive. It's a museum of our experiences, of everything we go through, right from our entry into this world and when we leave. We will change everything. We will change our clothes. We will change accessories. We will change our hair. We may cut our hair, but we'll never lose our skin.
Yes.
So that is why I approach it from that level. So when I pay a lot of attention when I'm doing, so I layer that my works to show that experiences and memories are made in layers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you think the art lovers' behaviors of going to exhibition is being replaced by social media viewing?
I won't say so. Because what you will get when you look at artworks on social media is different from when you go to galleries. It's very, very much different. For example, when people look at my work online, you see, I've even gotten people who make comments like, "Is this digital?" You can make mistakes of things like that when you look at the works online. But when you see the works in person, it's different. The experience is way different, and it doesn't just stop there. When you go to an exhibition, you go to a gallery, you can engage in conversations that would trigger and open up things that you were not aware to. For instance, I've done works where I was approaching the particular subject matter from my own perspective, and then a collector came to the stand at the exhibition, and she looked at the work and she shared something, and then I was just blown away, like, because I didn't see it from that angle. That's something that I wouldn't have been able to see or get from social media online, sharing the works online. So that is why seeing the works in person, going to exhibitions, seeing, like, experiencing some of these works you're allowed to touch. Touching them also helps. Yes.
Yeah, actually, nothing beats going to
Nothing else.
an
Absolutely.
Yes, that's like one of the best experiences one can have.
Yes.
So you guys, please go for art exhibitions, go to art galleries. So my next question is, how does preserving artwork on paper contribute to protecting culture and heritage?
So when artists work, even though we are addressing different contemporary issues, at the end of the day, we are documenting culture at that point in time.
Okay.
Yeah. So even if it changes, for example, the young ones, the young ones now, the Gen Zs, the millennials, or whatever, it's the way we are seeing things at this point in time, and it's culture. What is culture? Culture is the way of life of a group of people.
Yeah.
So the way each and every one documents their work, makes their work, they may not be looking at it from a place of archiving or documenting culture, but it is documenting.
Okay.
So that is how artworks or paper artworks, helps to preserve culture. And then when it is now being passed on, 10 years from now, 10 years is even short, 50, 100 years from now, you come back and then you're like, oh, this is how people during this time, this was how they lived, this was how they did things, this was how they saw things, stuff like that.
Okay. So now, earlier we talked about, art being an expression of emotions on paper, like not paper words. So my question now is this: how does the texture of paper influence the way an artist expresses emotions?
The texture, okay, so it depends on the different kinds of paper you're working with. Or how does texture generally help with art? It adds this liveliness, it brings this liveliness to the work. It brings this liveliness to the work. When the work is flat, you might be able to get it, but then with texture, it brings this play with dimensions. Yes, and it's also a way of, some would even say, it's a way of displaying skills. But then at the end of the day, there's this liveliness it brings to the work here.
Okay. Now, what challenges do artists face when trying to keep paper artworks safe for many years?
So I'm going to rephrase the question. What challenges do I face?
Exactly, yes.
Exactly. So how challenges do I face working with paper? So considering the fact that what I do is uncommon, somewhat, it's very much uncommon. I didn't have a lot of, should I say, mentors, people I can talk to directly, like, what do you do working with paper, stuff like that. I have to figure out a lot of things on my own. So over the years, I've been able to, using things like, so acid-free means that, the papers can last long. They are not, most papers they are made with acidic content.
Oh.
Yes. Things like your A4 papers, your normal exercise book there. So that's why after a while you see that the paper, you leave it for a while, they yellow.
Yeah.
And then they begin to disintegrate. Yeah, they begin to break. So that's one of the issues with paper. So that is why you cannot use papers like that. You have to use specialized papers, acid-free papers. And then paper on its own, there are even acid-free papers that, like non-acid-free paper that, 20 years ago, they are still existing. I have papers like that. If I go back home, I see exercise books that even my older ones have they used during that time and they are still in good condition. And it's because of the environment. So things like humidity helps. If the work is placed in an humid environment, the work is not going to last. Sunlight spoils the paper, it's going to yellow. Moisture also. So to do things like this now, all of my works when I do them especially when they are living in the studio, they have to be framed. So when they are framed, it helps. And then one of the fundamental thing I give is never display outdoors. It should be indoors, exactly. And then the room, should be controlled, humidity, moisture. Even though I use acid-free papers and then I use some other materials to also add to the distance, like even using UV glass to remove, to help reduce the ultraviolet light rays that would damage the works. So stuff like that. And then I think that's just basically it, Yes.
Okay. So, what are some simple ways individuals can preserve important drawings, letters, photographs, and paper artworks so they can last for future generations?
I think it ties to the previous questions. The same thing I said, you can store them in acid-free boxes, keep them away from direct sunlight. If you have works that are maybe paper and you would like to, protect the material,
Shelf life.
Exactly, shelf them. Thank you very much. Increase the shelf life. You can frame them. You can put them in waterproof materials that can also, prevent things like moisture and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay.
So regularly, you can also inspect the works, call the artist maybe to check, if the back of the work is placed against, one of the major problems we are facing with Nigerian buildings right now are damping. Most of these walls are getting dampened and then you see mold and everything. So you need to ensure that the walls the artwork is being placed against is not having issues like that, or else you could lose your investment. Because years from now, the works, could be worth a lot more. Yes.
Now, out of curiosity, right? How can a forgotten piece of paper ever become a valuable historical treasure?
Absolutely. Just like I said for people like Picasso now, sketches that they made. You see, even down to things like probably a note of I think there's this thing when they said which logo was made on this popular company's logo, was it Coca-Cola or whatever, was sketched on a napkin, piece of napkin.
Yes.
Whoever has the napkin today, that particular piece of paper is invaluable. Exactly. So that's the way it is. So sketches, of people, people works that they've done in the past, even unfinished sketches that it doesn't even look like much. Yes. So years from now, you don't know, you wouldn't know. So that's why documenting things like that, is very, very important. Just like autographs, you see people get things, signed works from celebrities and all of that.
Yes.
People that have works of Michael Jackson, probably signed album, merchandise and stuff like that will become invaluable and fetch huge amounts. Yes.
Okay. Now, what message would you give to people who believe traditional paper art is becoming outdated?
I would say that paper is not competing with technology. Technology will do its thing. Paper will do its thing. They are just two different approach.
Okay.
So what I would say is, if possible, we're in a very technological era, you can infuse. I'm a big fan of infusing techniques into whatever I do. So one does not eradicate the other. Yes, but a quick warning that regardless, there would always be serious demand and value for works that have been made by people with art. Yes.
Okay. How can paper art capture moments that photographs sometimes cannot? This is just me asking curiously.
How can art capture moments that
Paper art,
photographs cannot?
yes.
So when you take a photograph, it's like you're capturing a moment in time.
Yeah.
But an artwork goes a step further. You're breaking down the emotion.
Oh.
Yes. So if I take a photograph of you right now, I am capturing you in time. It may be displaying, the photograph may be displaying everything as it is right now, but then an artwork requires me going back home or to the studio in my quiet time, looking at this thing. What do I see beyond what the natural eye sees? So what do I feel? That is the difference. So it's not doing an artwork is even what do I see alone. This is what do I see and what do I feel. Technology cannot do that. Technology will only capture what it sees, but an artwork captures when you do an artwork because there's an human element to it. Now, what do I see? What do I feel? And how do I make people feel the same thing? So that might even require me altering some things, maybe color theory, changing the form. Exactly.
Okay. How can museums, schools, and communities encourage people to appreciate paper-based storytelling?
I mean, by giving people opportunities to engage with them directly, basically. I mean, art is expensive. It is expensive materials and all of that. So, museums, institutions, it's actually quite nice that things are getting better. You have institutions in Lagos, in Nigeria, supporting artists. The likes of the MZ Children Museum. You can go there and look at works of art by living and late artists. Yes. So the way they can do that is support probably through grants, exhibitions, fairs, and other even workshops and artist talks to get to, because if you see my work, for example, there is a limit to what you can get from the art in a way, but you may be able to get everything. But then when you listen to the artist talk about the work, it opens and stretches your mind. Oh, I didn't see this.
Yeah.
And not just that, it also it's like it's a feedback form. So artist talks also has like a feedback. The artist is giving, and the reactions from the audience also is given back to the artist, which will inform other works that the artist will do.
Okay. Out of curiosity, is your studio open to public?
Yes, it is, but on by reservations, like you'd have to book in advance. Yeah.
Ooh, okay, yeah. Okay, so finally, if paper could speak, what stories do you think it will tell about humanity?
I think it's going to tell stories of our greatest moments and struggles. Just like the TikTok this I was talking about.
Yeah.
The 32 slides the young man shared, it carries a lot of moments. There were happy moments. There was even one where he said was probably one of the documents that probably started the downfall of his father or something.
Wow.
Exactly. So if those papers spoke, those documents, all of the things he shared were all papers. So if paper could speak, they will tell about our greatest achievements. If you go back home, you have your certificates. Even probably for those, for some that you probably wrote JAM a couple of times, you have the form with you, you have the result with you. Maybe you wrote it 3-4 times.
Yeah.
The final one you wrote that now gave you were able to get admission through it. Those ones that did not work, they were of struggles. The ones that worked is a great moment. Just like that, we have different ones, birth certificates, death certificates.
Okay. Dear Lutoni, thank you very much for joining us this morning and for sharing your valuable insights on the role of paper art in preserving memories, experiences, culture, and human stories.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Today's conversation has reminded us that paper is far more than a simple material. It is a powerful medium through which emotions are expressed, history is documented, culture is preserved, and generations remain connected through creativity and storytelling. Through techniques such as cotton folding, layering, and intricate paper craftsmanship, artists are able to transform ordinary sheets into extraordinary expressions of identity, heritage, and shared human experience. Even as technology continues to redefine how we record and store information, today's discussion reinforces the enduring relevance of traditional art forms. Supporting artists, encouraging creativity, and appreciating paper-based storytelling are all important steps towards preserving our cultural heritage and ensuring that the stories that define us are not lost with time. Ultimately, the stories hidden in paper remind us that great art does more than capture beautiful images. It preserves moments, reflects humanity, documents history, and keeps memories alive for future generations. If you're just joining us, you can catch highlights of these conversations and connect with us on social media. We are Trade FM Live across all platforms. And that's Facebook, X, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and our YouTube channel. And with that, we begin to wrap up today's program. It has been another engaging and insightful morning filled with news analysis, market intelligence, experts, perspectives, and meaningful conversations exploring leadership, innovation, sustainability, creativity, culture, and national development. From the major stories making the headlines and developments across the financial markets, to our discussions on strategic leadership for Africa's future and the enduring role of paper art in preserving history and memory. Today's program has once again demonstrated that progress is built when knowledge meets vision, creativity meets purpose, and leadership embraces innovation. Our appreciation goes to Dr. Kinseye Olatokunbo Aluko and Deolu Fleming for enriching today's program with your expertise, thoughtful insights, and practical perspectives. I'd also like to thank Uri Alake, Olaluakito Akimboro, our production team, management, and everyone working behind the scenes whose commitment and professionalism ensure that Trade FM Breakfast Business Briefing continues to inform, educate, and inspire audiences every weekday morning. And to you, our viewers, thank you so much for listening and for making us part of your morning and for trusting us as your reliable source for business news, economic insight, and intelligent conversation. As we begin the month of July, let it serve as a reminder that every new month presents another opportunity to lead with purpose, innovate with courage, invest in knowledge, preserve our heritage, and build stronger businesses, stronger institutions, and stronger communities. The future we aspire to create will always be shaped by the decisions we make today. Remember, informed decisions create better outcomes, innovative leaders inspire lasting change, creative minds preserve our shared humanity, and informed citizens build stronger economies. The conversation doesn't end here. You can continue the conversation across all our social media platforms. We are Trade FM Live across all platforms, and that's Facebook, X, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and our YouTube channel. I am Splendor Ayubo, and on behalf of everyone here at Trade FM, have a productive, purposeful, and rewarding Wednesday and a successful start to the new month. Good morning, stay informed, stay inspired, and thank you for listening.
In addition of businesses, traders, and